Welcome everybody. Today we're going to look at a bulk package of Magic the Gathering cards. Now this is something they commonly sell on eBay. Alright? You're looking at 1,000 Magic the Gathering cards, all common and uncommon, and these are packaged normally for between $15 to $20. I was able to get this one for $14. Let's take a look at what we have. Now let's be specific. This is not the same thing as a repack. I think repacks are lame. This is a bulk order. Alright? And the question is, what exactly comes in a box like this, and is it worth it? Now me, I've got two small children, ages 4 and 8 years old, who are interested in Magic the Gathering. So, what I wanted was a box of cards that they could play with and not have to worry about them ruining my personal collection. So what we found here, first and foremost, was surprisingly a box of usable cards. Come on now. Here we go. We found 4 cards that were not in English. There you go. Now I know how these cards work. As long as you know what the card is and what it does, it's usually A-okay, right? And that's fine. But again, remember that I'm returning to Magic the Gathering after being away for quite some time. So those aren't going to do me much good, or my kids. The rest of these, first of all, with small children, just getting these out was a blast. At one point, we were literally throwing them at each other. Let's see. I'm not going to go through these one at a time, because I think that would be silly. But you can see there's no land. There was, in this whole set, there was only one land in the entire thing. It was a very terrible non-basic land. I wish I kept it separate so I could show it to you. But there wasn't a single usable land. And there was also very few enchantments. It was all sorceries, instants, creatures, artifacts. Very few enchantments. There were a couple. My son was able to gather together some lands that I had in the back of a book for about, 20 years and cobble together a 40-card blue-black deck that we were able to use. Now, mind you, if you get something like this, again, I'm in a situation where we're playing in a closed ecosystem. So my kids aren't trying to make standard decks. They're not trying to make tournament contender decks. They're trying to make decks that are playable in the mom and dad tournament rules. And that's what they did. One thing I did notice was a disproportionately large amount of red spells, or red cards. These are separated by color. If I can find where red starts. This column from here all the way till about, oh man, more even than I thought. About here. Yeah, these are some greens. There you go. So this thing was like, I don't know, maybe 40% red, which surprised me. Why is that? Do they make more red cards than everything else? Definitely a lot of red. But it was fun. I would recommend going down to your local game store, asking if you can dip into their land bank a little bit, if you decide to get something like this. This one, again, I got for $14. Also, I would recommend getting a couple of boxes too, because as my kids pick out cards they want to use, places to put the decks they build are now something we have to deal with, right? I mean, they could build 5 or 6 decks out of cheap commons, and that's great, but I don't have places to put 5 or 6 decks. That's it. Also, yes, you can get any card you want off of tcgplayer.com, but if you think about it, a common is going to be what, 2 cents? So if we bought this many cards at 2 cents a piece, it'd be about $20, considering I got it for $14. Penny for penny, not a bad deal. And again, the fun I had just opening this up and sorting through them with the kids and actually just throwing the cards at each other was great. But hey, It was fun. Think of it like this. This is one way to get a hold of Magic the Gathering in a board game. Now I've solved the problem of children playing a collectible card game and having to fight over the cards. Because we now have a global family collection. These aren't my cards. These aren't my son's cards. These aren't my daughter's cards. These are the family cards. And they can pick whatever they want to build their decks, and then they can play with each other. In this one particular instance, I think there's some value here. If you're the average player who's trying to build a deck that you can take out and actually win some games with, I don't think there's going to be much here for you to work with. But we certainly had a good time with this today. That's it for this episode of Hot Tea and Magic the Gathering. I promise I'll be feeling better when I do the next one. I'll see you then.